Today we're interviewing Russell Alexeev, a student entrepreneur at my very own Holmdel High School and the founder of Diskko. My name is Sarish Jasti. I'm a sophomore at Holmdel High School, and I'm the founder of Company Roots.
My name is Raul Kovaru. I'm an 8th grader at Oak Hill Academy and the vice president of Company Roots. Before the interview, we just want to thank you for taking your time. The first question that we always ask is, what were your company roots and how did they help you get into Diskko?
So this story is pretty interesting. I was always a skateboarder my whole life, basically. So I used to skate at Hazlitt Skate Park. It's literally 10 minutes from where like 5 minutes from where I live. It's a 10-minute walk. So I used to be there all the time. There are these little bolts that hold together a skateboard. They're called skateboard hardware. And that was always breaking on me for some reason. It was always breaking on me and my two friends who were seniors at Holmdel High School at the time. I was a freshman. So we started a company called Real World Hardware. It didn't go too well. We made a couple shirts, like this one right here.
Yeah.
We made a couple shirts, a couple packs of bolts, whatever. We sold like a couple hundred pieces, but it just didn't go as well. It just wasn't a market that we were ready to jump into.
Yeah.
I was always passionate about clothing and fashion, so I decided to move into that. And that's where Diskko came from today, making clothing and fashion. And I'll show you guys a couple more pieces as we go.
Yeah. So you're a high schooler and you're living the dream in high school, which I think is something we should applaud you for.
Thank you.
So what struggles have you faced in starting a business in high school?
So definitely the time management between school and high school. I mean, school and my company. So junior year was a very demanding year, and it was also one of the most demanding years for my company.
Right.
And when I first jumped into my company, it was a lot of I skipped a lot of the preparatory stages. So I skipped a lot of the preparing, the business plans, the structures, the models, and that was like the biggest problem because I had to return to that later on when high school and schoolwork became more demanding. So that's kind of a mistake I made. But I kind of had to manage my time. I had to set aside and prioritize every single day. I had like a list, a to-do list. I had to prioritize everything and basically set aside time to work on my company and work on schoolwork and keep my grades up.
Throughout your high school career, have you like kind of taken classes that are closer to the business side of things, or have you kind of stayed in the regular path for high schoolers?
Yeah. Actually, there's an elective called Sports and Entertainment Marketing. When I first started Diskko, I knew I was going to stay in the roots of skateboarding.
Yeah.
So I took a Sports and Entertainment Marketing course just to learn about how the bigger guys do it, just to learn about what goes into planning all these events, what these bigger guys do to, to make all the events that you guys watch happen.
Yeah.
So that was a very interesting course. I took a lot out of it, and I apply a lot of it to my company today.
So being in high school has its pros as well as its cons. So do you find it easier to market and talk to people your own age?
Actually, yeah, a lot of people kind of understand what I'm going for. A lot of people understand what my project is.
Yeah.
A lot of the older guys, they don't really understand exactly what I'm doing. And no offense to anyone, it's just like the gap between generations. It's just the gap of social media. Like older people don't really understand what the point of smartphones and all the social media buzz is about. And a lot of younger people can understand that, which makes it easier for me to be able to explain this to people.
Yeah. So how much, I walk through Holmdel High School every single day, and I see like Diskko stickers here, people wearing Diskko shirts, and I started noticing it a lot more when I started hearing about your company after we agreed to have the interview. So how much of an influence has Diskko actually built in Holmdel High School?
The stickers are obviously everywhere. A lot of people are wearing the clothing. A lot of people just like to support me as a person and the project that I'm working on at the moment, setting up a bunch of support for developing artists is basically what the project is. I'll go into that a little later. But a lot of people like to support the youthful business growth. And I think that's a great thing. I completely support what you guys are doing. It's awesome. I think it's great.
Thank you.
And but we actually started out of Holmdel and Matawan. My graphic designer is from Matawan. His name is Hunter Anfuso. Big shout out to him. He does a lot of hard work. So a lot of the roots happened from Holmdel High School and Matawan High School, Matawan Aberdeen Regional. So that's where a lot of the impact kind of started, and now developing into other towns such as Middletown, Keyport, Red Bank. So everything's local for now.
Yeah.
We're in a couple local skate shops, stuff like that. But we ultimately want to, spread.
Yeah, definitely. What allowed you
Different
to
states.
become so popular, not only within our school, but in our community and the surrounding communities?
Social media, definitely social media. So we did a lot of campaigns in the early stages of our company
Mm-hmm.
where we gave out a lot of free stickers. Stickers are really, a great tool for marketing.
Yeah.
So we gave out a lot of free stickers. All of a sudden, people were posting Instagram pictures with stickers on their phones, stickers on their skateboards, on their cars. A lot of people have Diskko stickers on their cars, folders, stuff like that. And that spreading through social media made people ask, like, where can I get those stickers, stuff like that. People started following us on Instagram, and a lot of it came from that.
And you guys have like 15,000 followers now?
Yeah, it's like 15.5 thousand followers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So can you only find Diskko in online or only in retail? And how are you looking to expand your team and your clothing in the U.S.?
Okay, so this is where the whole project kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I skipped a lot of like the preparatory stages, like the writing the business plans, getting the trademark, which is back there. Finally got it. All that stuff. I skipped a lot of that when I first started. I jumped right into clothing production.
Yeah.
My first T-shirt is actually right here.
Wow.
I made this in my graphic designer's attic. Literally probably a week from opening my company. I did it with no kind of like no structure, no inspiration. We just made it. And that's where the problem was. And that's what I have to go back to now. I have to reconstruct all of that. I have to make the business plans, It all goes down to the legal stuff then. It's the attorneys, the lawyers, accountants, all that stuff. So now I'm going back to all that. I'm really setting it up in the right stages, and I'm going to revisit all the clothing production at the beginning of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So before I started this project, my clothing was found online in a couple of local skate shops, such as Classic Skate Shop, and a couple other local clothing fashion boutiques.
Yeah.
But now I have to kind of like revisit everything. So my clothing won't be available again until 2019, but I promise that we're going to be back with a lot of clothes. It's going to be available in Zoomies, PacSun, Tilly's, Billabong, hundreds of different fashion stores all over the United States.
Yeah.
Hopefully all over the country as well. Hopefully going to get some international distributors to work on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is that you can't just start a clothing company without any money.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of money. One collection for us, a collection is basically each season we're going to drop like a collection. It has 8 to 10 clothing items in it. Each collection is going to cost us to produce anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000.
Wow.
Which is a really big amount.
Mm-hmm.
And then spread out throughout the year, that could cost anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money, obviously. And being 17 years old, I don't have easy access to that money.
Right.
I'm only 17. I'll be 18 in a month or two, but I'm still not able to take out any credit loans, any business loans, whatever. I don't have the credit history.
Right.
So I'm not able to do any of that. So I kind of resorted to other means, other ways of raising money. So I have a big campaign coming out soon, probably at the end of spring. It doesn't have a name yet, and I'm yet to formally announce it. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a very big campaign that's going to help us raise money, as well as help develop artists, anyone with talent in any art form, whether it be dancing, drawing, writing, speaking,
mm-hmm.
playing sports, whatever art form someone has talent in, we're going to try to develop them, help support them, develop their career. And that's going to be a lot of the giving back aspect. I love giving back. I really think it's great. I love, bringing up communities, bringing up artists, and that's the whole point of Diskko, and that's what I want Diskko to be about. I want it to be all about support, art, and highlighting the creative capacity of today's youth.
Yeah. So why exactly did you choose the strategy of like halting your production for an entire year, and what advantage in this type of marketing do you see?
So it's not really a form of marketing. It was actually a very difficult decision to make. I really didn't want to hold production because I love putting out new clothing all the time. I love designing. Mm-hmm. And I'm still designing. On the back, I think just 2 days ago, we just finished a whole draft of 100 plus clothing items.
Wow.
So that's going to be for next year. So we're planning in advance. And another thing, another reason why we decided to hold the production is because we are going into full manufacturing. So whether it be United States manufacturing or anywhere from China bringing it into the United States and putting the finishing touches in the United States, we're going into international manufacturing. So before we used to do things like this shirt. It's just a T-shirt with a graphic print. It's Barack Obama wearing the Diskko T-shirt. So this was released right before he left office. But we used to do a lot of T-shirts just with graphic design on them. And I wanted to get more into fashion. And with that, you can't really just take a T-shirt and print on it. You have to go into, every single little stitch, every single little button. Everything matters when you go into fashion. So we're taking our time, spending a lot of time on detail, getting all the details perfect, and producing a fully manufactured, fully cut and sew, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna do very creative pieces, whether it be jackets, hats, shoes, pants, stuff like that.
So how do you design your products, and are there any softwares that you use, or do you outsource to other people? How does that whole process work?
So I have like a little graphic design team. They're they're integral in basically my company. Like I would not be able to do anything without them. They literally made everything from the logo to every single design on any one of my T-shirts. For example, this shirt right here.
Yeah.
They made every single design from scratch. Everything is done from scratch. We don't take anything from Google Images. Everything is literally done from scratch in the following process. So it starts with a sketch.
All right.
It's literally just a sketch on a piece of paper. One of my graphic design team members could be sitting in class and just draw up a sketch of a good idea. And they kind of like run it through our group chat. And they're like, hey, what if we made a shirt with like this graphic on it? And it'd get a bunch of likes or a bunch of votes with Apple messages. You could like pictures now, stuff like that. So it'd get a lot of likes, whatever. And when we have our design meetings, which are literally every single week, every Sunday morning, we have a design meeting. When we have those, we kind of revisit those ideas and we're like, hey, what if we like work on this a little more? So we're able to take that picture and upload it to Adobe Illustrator, and then everything is made from there. So it's turned into a piece of clothing on Adobe Illustrator. And first it's made into a mock-up sketch. So it's made into a digital picture of the shirt with the design on it. Yeah. Which is later sent to factories. They take it apart. We go in for consultations. They literally measure every single like stitch, everything. They measure everything. The detail is in literally everything. And that like turns into the clothing item.
Yeah. So how do you reach out to these factories, and how do you get manufacturers to actually like take interest in your product?
So when I first started the manufacturing process, this was the first piece I made right here. This was like a rugby shirt. It has very unique detailed paneling on it. Yeah. Yeah, this one we actually reached out to a fellow clothing company out of Philadelphia. Their name is Ethic, and they helped us get these pieces made, which was very kind of them, which was awesome. It was our first kind of dive into the manufacturing process. After that, I realized that the T-shirts wasn't like that wasn't going to do for me. I wanted to go into full manufacturing. I wanted to start every single piece of clothing from scratch. Yeah. I wanted to make everything from the first stitch, picking all the fabrics and stuff. I wanted to do all of that. Yeah. So last year, junior year, I think it was around finals time, I actually sat down and I avoided studying. And I wrote, I think it was like 400 or 500 emails. I think it was like 250 phone calls to a bunch of factories, a bunch of other companies, a bunch of distribution companies, distribution factories. And, I tried to get quotes. I tried to get timelines, price estimates, all that stuff. Yeah. And eventually we narrowed that search down to like 5 factories that we're working with now, sending them every single day what our designs are going to look like, what our lineup for 2019 is going to look like. And they kind of help us, measure out every single aspect, find out how much it's going to cost, stuff like that.
So, what one main thing or quality makes Diskko different than the average clothing store?
So, the one thing I'd have to say that makes Diskko different and sets it aside is that we have a very, very unique theme. So, what our theme is basically what we're gonna do is bring back historical themes, ideas, virtues, whatever, anything from history, whether it be art, themes, feelings, moods, whatever. We want to bring all of that back into the future. So basically, we're going to take like historical, whatever it is, historical themes, ideas, revisit them through our interpretation, and then put them out as pieces of clothing with a modern twist. So everything is about history for Diskko. The name Diskko actually came from, the music type disco, the music genre. And it just has a little bit of a modern twist to it with the two Ks.
Yeah.
So we're literally taking everything from the historical themes. Like, I'm gonna see if I have an example here. We have a shirt we made here for after prom trip. So it looks like a bunch of like retro drawing, a bunch of it's like a very retro theme to it.
Yeah.
And it's just revisited with a modern twist. So we're doing a lot of that, and I think that really sets it aside. And the other thing is my whole plan for the future, how I want to really give back and be very integral in artist development. I think that really sets Diskko aside because not a lot of clothing companies focus on art, focus on development of the youth.
Yeah. So how do you look to expand the customer base that you're targeting? And is there any specific age group or career that really is taking interest in you right now?
So we've always been a clothing company for young adults, anywhere from the age range of 18 to 35. That's like our target market right there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be for anyone who is into fashion, is the simplest way I could put it. Anyone who wants to support historical themes, ideas, anyone who basically, is a part of like that group of people who focuses on the clothing.
Yeah.
And the way we're reaching out to them is doing a lot of marketing and advertisement with famous artists, which is a very big part of our project. We're going to be working with famous artists, and I can't give out the names, unfortunately, until all contracts are signed.
Yeah.
It's just like a liability issue. So we're going to be working with some famous artists, whether it be singers, dancers, sports athletes, people like that. And they're going to be helping us with our whole project and developing youth talent, making careers out of artists, young artists. And through that, we're able to, kind of advertise and market our clothing line.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that part of your sales actually go to charity. So which charity do they go to, and how has that whole experience been? I'm
glad you asked. So I'm starting my own charity, actually.
Nice.
So it's going to be my own, completely own charity, because I always hear a lot of things with charities not donating 100% or not, only donating a very, very small amount. Yeah. That's not even enough to make an impact. It is like over a bunch of orders, over a bunch of people donating. It's enough to make an impact, but I really want to focus a lot. I want to put a big percentage of my sales, a big percentage of the money that we generate through fundraising, all that stuff. I want to put a lot of it into artist development. I really want to highlight the creative capacity of today's youth. A lot of people say that, the youth is glued to their smartphones and stuff, but I just really want to prove people wrong and say that there's so much talent. The youth is like the future, basically.
Yeah.
And I really want to highlight that there's hope in the youth,
Generation Y, I think, or Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have your parents been? How supportive have they been about Diskko, and how has your extended family been as well?
So all my extended family is actually back in Europe, in Russia. Okay. So they're not able to, give a lot of attention to it. They obviously know about it. They don't know at, what level it's at or anything. But my parents are extremely supportive, and I really appreciate that a lot. They're probably going to be watching this later, so big thank you to my father and my
Thank you.
mother. So they actually they helped me a lot with finding an attorney, an accountant. They helped me with finding the right banker. And then I sit down with these guys and I have the meetings, and they're so helpful with planning the future, making sure everything legally with the company is good. They helped a lot with getting my trademark, which is back there in that frame.
Yeah.
So they're a very big help with all of that stuff. But as far as design and as far as running the company, I kind of push them away. Like, they love to help, but I kind of push them away. I don't really want to be limited to my creative abilities. I don't want to be limited to my freedom of working on the company. So I kind of just take everything from there and I do it all myself. And then I refer to my graphic design team, which again is Hunter Anfuso and Kurt Shapiro. Big shout out to them.
So just by talking to you in this in Instagram for Sorish and over Instagram, I can see that you're not only an entrepreneur but also a visionary. So what plans do you have to keep Diskko moving forward in college, and where do you see yourself in 10 years?
So college, that's a very very unique part about me. A lot of entrepreneurs who start this early, and I'm not as successful as a lot of people who started this early, but a lot of people who start this early and are successful, they kind of ditch college. But I'm really for college. I think that it's great to go to college and to educate yourself. I definitely could not go to college and just work on my company and still get somewhere.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is go to college. I want to get educated because I want to know how owning a local company, I want to know how owning a small business affects the local economy. I want to know how it affects the economy in the larger scale. I want to know where all my money is going, how all my clothes come in. It's very important to know all of that.
Yeah.
I think it's super important to know how exactly everything's working. So I'm going to be going to college in New York City. I don't know where yet. So I'm still working on deciding. I'm going to visit over the next couple weeks and decide where I'm going to go. But I'm actually working on getting a warehouse space, some kind of small space to work out of, either in New York City or in Brooklyn. Probably going to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to work out of there on my free time. I'm going to devote literally all my free time to Diskko, which I've been doing now.
Yeah.
And, keep living the dream, keep making it happen. And in 10 years, hopefully I'll have some kind of stores, Diskko stores.
Yeah.
A larger warehouse space to work out of, maybe some employees to help me figure things out.
Yeah.
And I hope to be, recognized in the fashion industry and the art industries.
So we always end with the same question, but we're going a different way. So what specific strategies would you give to the next generation of entrepreneurs and leaders like yourself, looking to further pursue their passions in high school and middle school?
So the one thing I like to say is just do it. A lot of people are very hesitant about it. They're very unmotivated to get started. And that was my problem in the beginning. I was kind of unmotivated. I didn't want to. I was hated on when I started Real World Hardware. No one appreciated it. No one saw any value in it. But I kind of just had to keep going. I kind of had to push through and take it all as motivation. So what my biggest suggestion is to, if you have a creative or unique idea, you just have to follow through with it. Like you guys, I think your idea is super unique. I think it's super creative.
Thank you.
And I support it a lot. So yeah, I think you guys should just follow through with it. Just do it. And, make your connections. Definitely. Connections are very important.
Yeah.